time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel.
You guys' sound is
And you know how we do.
in and out.
Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Big game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, XL, and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah, I got the juice. Yeah, I got the juice. Win game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing.
All right, guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the Locked In Podcast, episode 149. And I just want to take some time. Obviously, we're the hosts. I'm Steve Ushler, George Mecaj. But I just want to reintroduce Dan Kanagie. Dan is a returning guest for the podcast. I do want to say, guys, there's something echoing. Can you hear that, George? Can you hear the echo a little bit?
Yeah, I do hear the echo. I don't know where it's coming from. I'm on my phone.
Dan has two screens on. It might be that.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's 2 screens.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I went to on the phone because this cut me off, but now I'm back on here, so
All right.
be good.
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you fine. So hopefully it holds up, and if not, maybe we can switch to the phone or whatever. But I just want to welcome Dan back in. Dan, thank you for joining the podcast tonight. You're always welcome on here, man. So appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's always a pleasure to have you, bro.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. And George, do you want to introduce the topic tonight? Why don't you,
Sure, no problem. So tonight, guys, as Steve said, episode 149. We have our friend Dan in the house, of course, and we are the Locked In Podcast here on for pretty much everything from personal development to what's going on outside, in the outside world, in the streets, new deals, tips on sort of on the G code, relationship tips, sports news, news around, what's going on as far as different, things around the world, current events. And today we have actually a really good episode. Today's episode is going to centralize around marijuana, the medical use of marijuana, as well as recreational, as well as, some of the sort of more recent changes in the world, and especially in the U.S., in the climate of the laws and everything else. And what you basically can use as far as like recreational and what is not, and then also like we can talk about a little bit about like the topic will also be about the business that Dan runs that that I'm also involved in as well with the Dan clothing line as well as the clothing line for the for the um for the Navy as well to help support our veterans. So we actually been doing a lot of the stuff as well, a lot of events, and that's kind of what we hope to discuss well today. So, and of course we got Steve, as you said, myself, and my man Dan Kanagie right here. So without further ado, guys, we can just jump in right in, and I guess So I guess start with you, Dan. So like, what are some things that led you to start this sort of like campaign and some of the the new adventures you've been doing, and including the business as well as the brand?
I'm still having problems with the audio. I'm going to try switching over on the phone.
All right.
Yes, so you know.
Yeah, sounds good, man. It's no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm only hearing like half of what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. All right. So we'll add in the phone, and if you could take the one off, add in the phone, and if you could take the
There we
are. All right. It's echoing. George. Do you hear the echo? Yeah.
It's good on my end. It's a lot better on my end.
Do you have any headphones on?
Nah.
Let me see something.
Might be an echo. George,
I still hear the echo. Bro. I got my headphones.
It's probably headphones on the phone. So, yeah, I hear. I hear myself talking. It's like repeating back. I don't know. My headphones. Let me see. Yeah, it's still echoing.
Yeah, I got my headphones on. But okay, you guys good though. I don't think I'm echoing.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna echo on the green, and everybody else is gonna hear that echo. Yeah, I'm not cool about it.
So Dan gotta go on the computer. Is that be easier?
What's that?
Like if you go on the computer, it'll be easier. Maybe there's no echo.
It's because we're echoing. It's gonna be tough. You don't have any no headphones.
Apparently not. Apparently no headphones.
Yeah, I think it's gonna take time. I don't know. We just try the computer because this is nobody's not really good with us at all. But we keep repeating back.
Too much echoing.
Yeah, way too much. I hear the echo.
Try the computer, Dan.
That's the thing. I was on the computer, but I couldn't hear you guys at all. You kept like phasing it, like the audio was.
Just try it one more time. Like try to refresh it, and then kind of go against it works. Because it might be better. It might work.
Yeah, experience. Let me see this shit quick. It's probably echoing green. So anybody who's can you tell if it's echoing on? I might be able to tolerate it on, but if it's echoing to everybody else, it's not gonna go. Where's the stream? Let's see.
Should be.
Can you hear me at all, Dan? Is it tough? Can you hear me, Dan? If I talk like this?
So where'd George go?
I'm not
I
sure.
missed that doing this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Can you hear me okay, Dan? Like if I talk like this, can you hear me? All right. Like half. There's George. Yo, George.
Well, you're buffering. It's like so I'm hearing like half of what you're saying.
Damn. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me, Steve? I can hear you guys fine now.
I can hear you fine. It's like hit or miss because he can only hear like half of what we're saying because it's buffering on the computer. But if we do the phone, it echoes. So I'm trying to figure out the best possible way to go about this.
Yeah, we're actually okay on this side. It's just probably it could be his computer be a little old, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, just the connection.
The connection, it could just be the connection too. It's probably the Wi-Fi, yeah, or the connection. It's
yeah,
here, computer.
George, I'll let you continue going where you're going. We'll see how we can improvise it. Maybe we can type the questions into the chat if we need to, and we'll just do it like that.
What we could do, man.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm right next to the Wi-Fi box.
Let me see. Dan, check the chat. We'll go like that. I guess we'll ask like the questions through the chat. There's a chat on the StreamYard thing, and we can ask our questions through that. Maybe that will be the easiest way. George, do you see my comment like in the chat?
So the question is, how did you start the business, and what made you start the business?
Yeah, in the medicinal marijuana business. I don't know if you can see the chat. I think that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I see it right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I get started? I mean, I've been involved in in the culture and the scene and everything since I was, a teenager. Yeah, I've been a patient for a number of years myself. Yeah, it just kind of just started, fell together type of.
This thing's loading. Sorry, guys, we're having some connectivity issues here. It's a shame, bro, because I could do the phone, but the echo is just gonna ruin the stream.
Nah, you can't do that echo. There's no way. This is the best way, but unfortunately,
this is the best way to improvise. This is the best way to improvise it. That's the one thing, guys, is we can't obviously predict the streams.
Yep, the streams sometimes are bad.
From the external side of it, but we're gonna work with what we can here.
We'll do our best. We'll bring it.
Yeah, if he had headphones, it would help the whole scenario. I guess we'll let Dan get set up, and we could talk a little bit about it as we're waiting for Dan. I obviously want Dan here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can fill guys in a little bit, the viewers, because obviously I'm behind the scenes as well, and I'm involved in that. But like I said, I'd rather have Dan talk more about it and do that part, so to speak. You know what I mean? But it's been a few events, and like the Cannabis Fest in Philly and the one in Mount Poconos that we did. Those were big events for us to set up shop, and it's all about networking at the end of the day, bro. It's a lot of networking going on. It's a lot of meeting people and all that. But the cool thing is meeting people from all walks of life in those type of environments. And I think I mentioned that because we talked about it before that I went out there. We did like a camping thing on it was around April. No, not April. It was it was in April. It was late April. And
Yeah.
we're out there in the Poconos. Remember, like the time, and yeah, it was a good event. I actually told Dan about doing another one. He did a few other ones, which again, hopefully when he comes back, he can explain. But I wasn't able to make the last one. I missed the last one. I was there the one before that and one before that as well. So yeah, nice ways to raise money and awareness and sell some products in an environment like that where they got everything, as far as like, the stoner culture. I mean, they got everything from bongs to, they sell like municipal marijuana. They got weed that's, it's like from Cali or like a medical.
Yeah.
They have memorabilia and all that, like shirts and everything else. And it's almost like a festival because they're playing music too and they had people like there. I mean, it was a lot of vendors, first of all.
I've seen on his Instagram, he's got some pretty cool stuff, guys. Go to Daniel Kanagie. It's DanielKanagie on Instagram, and you can kind of see his setup there. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with how he's set up. But then he broke it down to me what he actually does earlier. So essentially, what he does, guys, is he designs inspired clothes in order to help spread awareness of organizations. It's actually a really noble thing. If you guys have actually listened to Dan's first episode on this podcast, and it was quite about it. I think it was like episode 30, or it might have even been in the 20s. Dan actually goes over his time in the Navy. He was in the United States Navy, so very, very noble. He
before to like 98, yeah.
Yeah. Now Dan does try to profit, but he also raises money for veteran organizations, which is great. It's something, obviously, a cause that's near and dear to him. And he also, his main purpose and goal with this is to not just raise money for veteran organizations, but to normalize this, normalize marijuana as essentially both a medicine and recreational use. So obviously, Dan's a big proponent of it. It's a great thing. Obviously, you can talk on it a lot too, man. As a patient yourself, someone who regularly uses it, George. You can obviously talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, bro, it's a little bit of a noble thing he's doing because obviously he's helping out, putting out awareness. He's doing it for the culture and the community, as well as veterans that probably could use smoking because of certain conditions, but also people that just kind of want to do it. This day and age, I mean, it's a judge-free zone. Things have changed. And I think he goes over there.
Dan found the
better.
Yes. Much better. Awesome. You found some. Can you hear us?
Awesome.
Good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Cool. Awesome, man. Yeah, we were just explaining a little bit about the background. I was saying earlier what you said. You design clothes essentially, related to cannabis and stuff, and you ultimately help raise money for veteran organizations. I was telling people, if you actually are OG viewers of this podcast, you came on a couple years ago. You kind of talked about your time in the United States Navy and everything like that. Obviously, veteran organizations, something very near and dear to you, as you obviously have experience from the United States Navy.
Obviously.
Yeah, Dan, why don't you just tell everybody a little bit about your business, because I really love the cause that you kind of support there.
Well, yeah, Dan K Apparel. Ironically, not to sound like the typical pothead, but it was embarrassingly long time before I figured out my name, Dan K, spelled dank. But but yeah, Dan K Apparel.
Dan K Apparel.
It's actually the second apparel line that I have going. I had another one I started before this, geared towards the combat sports, and that's called Bloody Knuckles. So I was, familiar with, starting this through that. But yeah, being a vet, I was in the Navy. I was on submarines. I had, I had PTSD, anxiety, depression, all, related to my time in. And it's going having that and going through what I've been through and trying to get the help for myself, and knowing what's out there and all that. It just, like I said, it just kind of all fell together. Like had the idea, and so basically, first thing I did was came up with like six basic designs, and so, had them thrown on T-shirts, and just started going around to like different festivals. Pardon me.
Yeah,
Uh, you
different
know,
events.
yeah, like going to different cannabis festivals and stuff like that, and start selling them and bringing in some, a couple bucks and donating some of the money to uh, organizations. So, like I said, it was actually just it felt very just like a very natural, organic way of coming about.
That's awesome, man. I like it because it's something like you said, battling, dealing with anxiety, depression, coming out of the military, which is something that's very, very common for many veterans. And then, so it was something that you had already, obviously, as a patient, as you said, someone who was already someone who used it, recreationally. I love that you were able to kind of turn that into a business because obviously, anytime you start a business with something, it should be something that you're relatively passionate about. I feel like that's where you're going to get the most out of something. So, the fact that you're able to do something with this, and guys, yeah, Bloody Knuckles, his with bare knuckle boxing and stuff like that. Dan's also come on. He's spoken about that too. He's been on the podcast before,
Yeah,
spoken about
twice.
that. Yep,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So he's been on here a few times, but yeah, it's some good stuff. So I'll actually.
Two more times, I get my gold jacket.
Exactly. Like from Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin, you get the gold jacket.
Come again, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely, man. It's what, Steve. Every time he's been here, Dan always talks about something different. So he's like a book, like encyclopedia. He has a lot to talk about. But also, we mentioned, like you said, the first episode because at the time it's kind of like everything we're talking about now with the Tank Apparel, Bloody Knuckles, the Rough and Tumble promotion that we're working on that he has as well, which is another part of Dan's ventures. There was an infancy at the back. I guess was
Yeah.
that 2021. It was around like February, almost March-ish of 2021, around that time. It was around that time. So over 2 years later, going on to almost 3 years later now, 2.5 years later, a lot has changed then, which is that would be good to bring this episode about. And also, for those that may not know behind the scenes, they knows about this as well as Steve, of course. The idea was to bring my man Will Ellenstein, Jewish sauce boss, and then together for an episode and to kind of combine one for like one nice big episode. But unfortunately, that didn't work out this time. It didn't materialize this time around. So possibly in the near future, we'll do like a nice little big ass mega episode, on like the business of again the marijuana business and as well as like kind of like giving back and all. Because Will is kind of a very similar mission statement and idea. It's kind of like do what makes you happy, help others, be there for someone else. Smoke a little, but be up on life. Don't let's get be behind. We're not necessarily again they'll tell you because me and them are smokers and stoners kind of. It's not cliche thing. Not necessarily if you're a party, you're lazy. We actually want to show you back that you can be a part and get stuff done, and also help out others. And like Dan said, if you have ADHD or anxiety or a heavy dose of anxiety or some kind of like post-traumatic stress disorder, you can definitely tune in for this. And this actually will help you. So it's more to help you out as opposed to just getting you high. Oh yeah, just get you high. No, it gets you right because that could actually possibly help you. Somebody like a veteran that's seen like an Iraq veteran or a veteran that went to Afghanistan or something like that cruised the oceans. I mean, just being at seas a lot, dude. I've been out to sea too, guys, for like 3 days. The most was 3.5 days, and that's a lot, dude. This man right here was in sea for 3 months. That's iconic.
I was
Dope
actually
right there.
under the ocean for 3 months.
3 under the ocean. That's bro. I couldn't do that. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, and that's that alone is enough to cause like PTSD. Yeah, make people go nuts. I remember the stories you shared when you were underground and
the
just
first
like
episode.
Suicide's a big thing. Like I'm proponent because you're in darkness. You know what I mean? It's enough.
Yeah.
Like when you're in darkness for that long, it's enough to just make you go crazy. You know what I mean?
Like the lack of natural sunlight the lack of natural air,
Uh-huh.
the competitive nature of half of the jobs on board. I mean, these are yeah, it, it's weird. Like I was talking to my daughter today about this. Yeah. Just in order to qualify, just to be on submarines, you have to be a little bit off your rocker in the first place. Yeah, like
Yeah.
your normal, everyday, average person, you're not going to be able to handle it. You know, you have to be somewhat off your rocker in the first place. Uh, so there's this fine line between that acceptable crazy and the unacceptable crazy. And and the thing is, you know, they understand this and they know this and then they take it very seriously. And you know, the first signs of self harm and you're not on the subs anymore. You're done. Like they take it very seriously.
Yep. Like
Yeah,
you said.
They'll get you out of there, right, right, right. If you're like exhibiting signs of possibly losing it, or going insane or crazy, maybe not
hmm
insane, but crazy, because, like you said, bro, that could make you like it's like a story of people out to sea, like the movie Invincible, where the guys go out to
hmm
sea and the Japanese capture them. You have to sea for like a week out there, and all there's like small sharks around, and it's literally like two dudes and one dies, and it's three guys deserted out there. That can make you go crazy. Being underwater, man. I mean, you might think that like, yo, what if we sink? What if this? You hear voices in your head. I mean, you go through a lot. Some people it can make you break you for sure. Some people get broken. Like you're telling us last time, Dan, that some guys really after a while it was dragging. It was hard. I mean,
hmm Yeah, and you think about these things. You know, you can't. I don't know anybody who at some point on the subs hasn't thought about stuff like that. I mean, like, the, I mean, you can't help it because like you have what's known as crush depth. Okay, and that's the deepest that the submarine can go before implosion. And every so often, you have to test your boat. So you have to take it all the way down to crush depth and you know stay there for a little while, and then you come back up to the surface. And so one of the things that we'll do is we'll take a string and you attach the string from bulkhead to bulkhead, nice and tight when you're on the surface. You go down, you go all the way down to crush depth, and then that string is sagging from the pressure on the hull. And it's a, you know you have that visual representation now of seeing how much pressure is crushing on this this craft that you're in.
your
And
watercraft.
yeah, and so you know how deep you are. You know how long it takes to get back to the surface. You know what's going to happen to your body if you exit the compressed confines of the submarine. Like you know all these things. I mean, it's in your mind. You have to be able to compartmentalize it and be able to think about it and put it away. You know, and be able to go about and do your job and live your life, knowing that you have all this ocean and all around you. Yeah, you got to be able to put away and go about and do your job and
Got to be
and
very
live your
committed.
life. You got to be able to have you got to be able to joke. You got to be able to have a good time. And so they take good care of us down there. That's one thing the Navy is good about is they take good care of us because we're willing to do that thing that nobody else is willing to do. And it does. It takes a toll. Was it my first 6 months in Pearl Harbor? There were five suicides. Two of them that I had to help clean up the after effects, and one of them happened right in front of me.
Wow.
Jeez.
About about 100, 110 yards away, 100, 110 feet away from it. And it was one of those things that it happened so fast. There was no saying, doing, or trying to stop it. It happened.
Mhm.
And you, it's one of those things that when you find out the story, what happened and led up to it, you can't help but just shake your head.
Yeah.
Because it wound up
Quickly.
being not. Yeah, and it wound up being not just one life lost, but multiple careers were ruined on top of it. Not to say that,
Right.
I'm not putting that on the kid. The kid, there's nothing on that kid. He did nothing. He did nothing to warrant any of that. What he went through. It's a shame what he went through. It's horrendous. Um, and those careers that were ruined rightfully so. But it's the reality that we have to deal with, that we have to live with. And like I said, the Navy was great about it. Once you get out, that's a whole different story. You know,
Right.
uh, the VA is bureaucratic. It's bureaucracy. So there's red tape and there's procedure and there's all this hoops you have to jump through just before you see anybody. Um, you look at someone like me. Uh, you know, what I went through, what I witnessed, what I saw, what I had to deal with, including but outside all of those suicides, uh, it really messed me up. And it, when I was in, I started. That's when I started to self medicate. Didn't approach it as medicine. Looking back, with hindsight, I now know what I was doing. But
Right.
at the time, I was like, I had to do something. And you know, growing up a kid in the '70s and the '80s, you always hear about alcoholism. That's the thing you want to be careful of. And then you had coke and cocaine and crack and that whole epidemic in the '80s and in the '90s. Heroin was starting to come up. Uh, so you knew these are the things that you stay away from. you know. Uh, but yeah, so I had to do something, and that's I started, really smoking weed heavily in the Navy, and well, we all know that the military has a policy, and that's a big no-no, and you get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
uh, so like I don't qualify for a lot of the VA benefits and stuff like that.
Because of that, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so uh, who do I turn to for help? You know, so there's these organizations out there, nonprofit, civilian run, usually veteran run because we know what we go through and what we need the best. Um, so there's a lot of these great organizations out there, and came across this one called Balanced Veterans Network that had this whole what they called Operation 1620. Okay, so
Sure.
if you understand military time, adding 12 to the time,
What time? Yeah.
for PM hours, 4:20 PM becomes 16:20. Uh, and so I contacted them and said, hey, this is what I do, and I want to, raise money for you guys. They said, sounds great. Send us, let's see what your idea is. So I sent them in a design and, back and forth, tweaked it up to their likeness. And, yeah, so, that was the first one. It was, our Balanced Veterans Network design. Uh, which is I think is a really cool design.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's a purple weed leaf with a silhouette of the silhouette of the Vietnam soldiers. That's real common. And it says, they fought for our rights.
Let's fight
Let's
for
fight
theirs.
for theirs.
Right.
Um, and that's what it all started with.
Wow. That's incredible. I was going to say one of the biggest things I feel like nobody talks about with the military is when you actually have to adjust back to like civilian life afterwards.
Regular life, yeah.
So that's what most people do not talk about is
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest challenges. So everybody copes differently, and that's the thing. Like it's like obviously, this was something was a big proponent for you. I love that you're doing that, and it's like, and I love that slogan. They fought for our rights. Let's fight for theirs because they absolutely, every veteran deserves. You know what I mean? It's
recognition. There's no respect.
Absolutely, they fight for this country, and I just want to. I know I've told you before, but just want to say I absolutely, I just want to thank you for your service. You know what I mean, and your service to this country. Yeah, but I think that's one of the biggest things is people do not talk about adjusting back to civilian life because it's a big difference. I personally have never been in the military, but just knowing people who have been in the military, it's a big challenge. After serving your time and then adjusting back, so it's not easy to just adjust back.
No, it's not. The phrase that they use is institutionalization. Institutionalized. When you hear that term, most people think about being locked up in a mental hospital or going to prison.
Yeah.
But it's military also. Anytime where you're part of an institution that regulates, a huge chunk of your life, starting from boot camp, you're told when to wake up in the morning, when to go to the bathroom, when to shave, when to shower, when to eat, when to go to bed, when you're told when to do everything. All your clothing is provided. Your food is provided, your shelter provided, your medical provided. Everything is just provided for you, and you're like that for years. And so you get these things that are just provided for you, you no longer think about. And then one day, it's all gone. And you're back in, like me. I mean, I'm back in the city, and now I got to fend for myself. It's so while you have what's known as you come out of the military with what they call military bearing, and again, it's identical to what you see a lot of prisoners when they come out of prison. You have this that regimented routine, but like there's a sense of pride in how you look, how you carry yourself. Before people go in the military, you see, the hunched shoulders, slouched over. You come out, and now you're sitting with that straight back, shoulders back, chest out. It's that sense of pride, about yourself,
Confidence and pride,
and confidence, and also how you look.
Ability.
Again, like a lot of buddies of mine, after they got out of prison, they weren't veterans, they weren't in the military, they just did time in prison for whatever reason. But you see the same things like a lot, like with myself and a lot of veterans where we get out, where it's the way you wash your clothes, the way you fold your clothes, the way you iron them. Like in the military, we have what's called a gig line, and that the gig line it follows the edge of the outer flap of the shirt on down, which is supposed to line up with the edge of the flap of the pants and your belt buckle. It's like all one line. It's like a perfect, called a gig line. I mean, here it is. 20 some years out of the military, and I still will adjust and check my gig line. It's going to be there forever. It just becomes a part of you.
Exactly.
True.
But it's that institutionalization. It's you do these things so often in a specific way at specific times for so long, it becomes almost like autonomic in nature.
Hmm. Absolutely. I was gonna say you have all that, and then on top of it, if you've seen things in the military, like obviously a lot of traumatic things. It's a lot of things that I think like the average civilian cannot, like the average person outside the military cannot relate to. So it's tough too, trying to trying to relate because people can't understand that because they've never ever been in those types of circumstances. Not saying people don't
scenarios
don't deal with difficult things outside of that, but
Right.
but just it's a little bit different to try to relate. I was gonna say there's a good movie out. They came out a long time ago. It's called Brothers with Tobey Maguire, and he was in the military and was forced to kill somebody he went to battle with, a fellow soldier, and then he came home and it drove him insane. They didn't even know he was still alive, and he came home, and it's different. And trying to adjust back to life.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yep. It's a good movie though. Yeah, it definitely talks about life as a recovering soldier. Let's put it this way, because you go to war. It's like I don't care what happens. If you go to war, stay out there, bro. You're gonna have to recover in some kind of way. Nothing might hit you, but your mind, your psyche, your mind, you see. Because what you see, you can't always not see, bro. And if you engage in it, like you shut up freaking animals, farms, you might have seen kids get killed. In Vietnam, unfortunately, some of our soldiers saw kids getting killed, even if they weren't the ones that did the killing, but some did. It was just a lot of tribal. So they see that he messed up for life. He fucks up their mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see things, you experience things that
experience a lot of factors.
Yeah, one of the things that impacted me a lot was the fraternal nature of what I was a part of, being on submarines. Everybody from E6 and below, from E1 to E6, you're all first name basis. On a submarine, you have to learn the basics of like everybody's job. You have to learn, no matter what your job is, you have to learn the workings of the submarine. You have to know hydraulic pressure systems, freshwater systems, potable water, steam. All these different pipes, all different colors with knobs and levers. You got to know what each one does. So,
absolutely,
if you're the only person there and that pipe bursts and that starts spraying whatever that pipe is carrying, you got to know what to do. You can't panic. You have to address it. And so there's no one job is above another. Nobody is above another down there. And growing up the way that I grew up, I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. And I was a very individualized person. And going into that type of community where your lives literally hang in each other, your life is in each other's hands constantly, every day, day in, day out, 24/7. And it really affects you.
It's like a bond. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
like you bond with your friends, with your colleagues.
There's a brotherhood. That very few other groups will ever experience.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime a submarine goes down, no matter what country it's from, if it's military, civilian, it affects you. It doesn't matter. There was years ago. There was an Argentine sub that went down. And it doesn't matter. I don't speak Spanish. They don't speak English. Two different countries. Doesn't matter. They're my brothers. And that news consumes you. When there's a boat out there going through that. There was that submersible that went down a couple months ago, going down to the Titanic, and there were a lot of jokes.
3 months ago.
A
Yeah,
lot of
they were
memes, a lot of memes. Yeah.
a lot of memes, a lot of jokes, and I didn't find really much of it fun personally. Just like irregardless of that one individual's uh, his lack of care or concern for other people's safety by cutting corners and falsifying safety records and whatnot. Like, irregardless of that, they were innocent people on board that had
Yeah,
no
it's a
part
shame.
of that. One was a kid, for crying out loud. Like
Yeah. At the end of the day, lives were lost. So, people can make jokes, but at the end of the day, lives
mhm,
were lost in the
yeah.
scenario. So,
And believe me, implosion is not a way you want to go. It is
no, no. I've
not a
never,
way you
I,
want to go.
I've never even been in a sub, but I've done like a lot of research, like just like of the ocean, the sea, and the water, the Mariana Trench, anything like that. Going down and see like how much actual pressure is like inside like the ocean, like and
It's
just and
crazy up there.
how deep the ocean. There's so much that's like unexplored, but obviously, I've been in this scenario like literally this is nothing compared to being a submarine, but I've dove in a pool down to like 22 feet and tapped the
Mhm,
bottom and came up, and just going that low, you hear the ringing in your ears at 20 feet below the surface with obviously no gear on. But 20
mhm.
feet below the surface, you hear the ringing in a pool. Like I can only imagine,
The ocean,
being
how
deep
crazy.
down in a submarine, like how like deep down, like thousands and thousands of feet down. I can only imagine.
Yeah,
You,
it's,
you know,
it's it's very similar to like going up on a plane
yeah,
through the ears. When you're
When you go
going
up, your
through.
ears clog up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, when you're going
yeah,
through when you go through submarine school up in Connecticut, one of the things when you're going through the medical process is they look in your ears and you have to be able to pop your ear on command. If you're not able
wow,
to do that, then you don't qualify for submarines.
wow, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, I never knew that. Wow. Okay. I was going to say, Desi commented down below too. She said, "Thank you for your service, sir." Desi, well, was in the she was in
thank
the Air
you.
Force. Yeah, she was
Well,
in the
thank
United
you for
States Air
your
Force.
service.
Yep. Yeah, appreciate you both. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Obviously, we got all the stuff that's going on right now overseas,
A lot of
but
wars going on. Yeah.
it's crazy, and it's like unless people have been in this scenario, they'll never understand. Like I've never been in the military, but I can just imagine. That's why I always tell anybody who's been in the military, thank you for your service. Like, well,
I always say that.
I always say completely different, unrelated top. Like, I mean, it's related to the military, but it's a little bit different. But I always say, we take care of other countries so much, and that's okay. That's good, but we don't take care of our own country enough. Like, I feel like there's so many homeless veterans out there and stuff like that. We need to, do a better job at taking care of our own in this country. The people that fought for this country and fought to serve this country. That should never be a scenario that happens. That we have homeless veterans
Nah,
inside this country.
I hear
It's
you on
really
that, though.
sad.
definitely, I agree 100%. With all the vacant houses and
Yeah.
empty office buildings out there right now, I don't see there being an excuse for homelessness, period, much less just limiting it to the veterans. Yeah, like the amount of money that it costs to to house someone versus how much it costs to take care of a homeless person.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is it's huge. Like I mean, like I think they did a thing in Utah where where basically they almost completely eliminated homelessness
Yeah.
by just giving these people houses. It costs, I
Mm-hmm.
think they said on average about $12,000 per house per person. And that compared to the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that we spend per person per home, that are homeless.
Right.
Like it's just to me, it's a no brainer. But I mean,
even me being like a finance guy, I feel like there's always a way that you like. I think that there should be. You know, we owe trillions and trillions of dollars to this country. You mean to tell me we can't set up a fund that can help supply housing for military vets that are coming out of the military, to provide them either with really, really cheap and affordable housing or even free housing? Because I mean, they serve this country. They literally put their lives on the line to serve this country. There's no guarantee that you come home when you go to the military. So
Yeah.
I think with all the money that we, you know, trillions and trillions of dollars in this country's debt, you mean to tell me we can't find a way to, you know, supply housing to veterans that are coming out of the military? We find ways in the military, right, to supply housing, but then, you know, when they get out of the military, you know, it's kind of like, hey, you're on your own. You know, there's resources, but it's like
they'll argue that there's the VA home loan, which, don't get me wrong, when you're comparing home loans, the VA home loan is one of the best out there. Yeah, it is, but it's still a loan, and you still have to apply, and you have, you know, like, there are ways of not qualifying for it. You know, it's like, and like I said, it's still a loan. You still got to pay it back. You know, so like, you go, you buy this home, and then you lose your job, and you're out of work, and you know, like, and you can't pay your loan back. They're still going to, you know, repossess your home. Like, it's still going to happen. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. It's just, you know, like, it's a weird dichotomy, or juxtaposition, that I feel like I I it irks the living crap out of me when people join the military for the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
If that's their main reason. You know, like, you're not joining the military to honor service to your country. You're joining the military for free college, a low interest term loan for a house, blah blah whatever. Yeah, that irks the crap out of me. You know, you should be joining the military for the right reasons. The benefits are there. They're benefits. You know, they're perks. You know, it's a way of saying thank you for doing this. You know, but to join for that reason, that always irked me. But those benefits need to be there because they've earned it. You know, I mean, we can get into like a real deep political discussion. I mean, I have my own view on citizenship that most people just blows their mind. Like, I think citizenship should be a choice one makes that gives you extra rights but also extra responsibilities. Okay, I don't think it should be required for living in this country. I think you can definitely make it easy it's definitely easy to just like let people live here, work, and pay taxes, and make sure that they pay their taxes. That can
Mm-hmm.
definitely be done. You know, but citizenship, you know, like, and voting and holding office, these should be done by the people that want to do it, that want to make the change, that want to make this country and this world a better place, not just for them and their families, but for everybody.
Yep.
You know, like, it shouldn't just be granted because you were born here. There's a lot of people out there that, I'm sorry, should not be voting. They scare the living crap out of me. Like, like, you just simple, basic terminologies, phrases that we use, they just don't understand. If you don't understand political terminology, why are you voting? You don't understand what you're talking about. Why are you voting? You don't understand these things.
Yeah.
Why are you? If you don't want to be involved, you should not have to be involved. You should still be able to live here, work, make money, and have a good life.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't get a say. You don't get to vote. You don't get a say in things. You know, like, you're at the whim of the mercy and the whim of other people at that point. But if that's your choice and you're happy with it, that's fine. Go for it. But if you want to be a citizen, then you have to give to this country, whether it be military service, first responder, working, working in the federal government or, whatnot,
or something like that along those lines. Yeah,
Making a
something along the
change,
lines.
doing
Yeah.
something to like make a
making a real
difference.
change, man.
There's so many
Right.
people. I feel like there's just so many people in the United States and in the country. It's like it's just a sense of entitlement, and they feel like they need to be given stuff. And it's like it's crazy. Like George can say too. People who a lot of like I know your dad. Your whole family came here from another country. Some immigrants that come to this country are some of the hardest workers that like you'll ever see. They
Yeah.
come to this country and they fight and work for every single thing they have. But there's a
They
lot of
also,
yeah.
check this out. They also pay more taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's like
It's hard.
there's so
the
many
truth.
people in,
Everybody should
yeah.
be given a chance. Everybody should have a fair chance in life. And here's like this is a place of opportunity. They all should come and try to serve together. And even the Americans that live here, they're like more like neighbors to the country. That they're born here. They can learn from some of the immigrants, and immigrants can learn from them because hard work is everywhere. There's no color, no nationality. For if you have the dedication to do it and you come together, that's why they say 2 or 3 minds are better than 2. Are better than 1. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, it's good about learning, man. It's not no one. There should be no ego like that. But like Dan said, too many people just don't want to work together, and it just gets like that. Oh, the dogs are back out. Who let the dogs out?
Yeah, dog had to go out.
My man Dan got 3 nice dogs, and 1 is part wolf. So that's a wolf Halloween. That's not even a dog.
He's sleeping. He's old.
Yeah, good.
He's old and grumpy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So
But
I mean,
I
like,
agree with you guys, man.
but like, I also firmly believe that we should have a foreign legion like France.
Yeah, you were saying. Yeah, I remember you brought that up the first time you were on the podcast a couple years back. Yeah,
The French Foreign Legion.
I firmly believe in that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I met some like, I mean, I'll be dead honest with you, man. Like, how many Filipinos I've met when I was in that are amazing sailors. They just they love the job. They love the military. They love the Navy. They love the U.S. And they want help. They want to better their lives, and they chose to do it by helping better the world.
Exactly. I feel like a lot of people too that come to this country, they know how difficult it is outside the United States. So they really fight for a better life inside this country. A lot of people that are born here, they don't understand. Like they'll talk bad about this country and they'll bash it and they'll say all this other stuff. It's like, well, then go live somewhere else and go see how it really is outside.
Just go travel, get out of this country, and see
go.
what life is like especially in the third world countries.
Yep, see other cultures.
Third world. I don't like using that term third world culture because that makes us the first. And it's just saying we're better than. That's not.
Yeah,
They're some of the happiest people like I've ever met. Were in those countries. Like very generous, very giving, very open, welcoming you into their home.
Exactly.
I forget who said it. I want to say Mark Twain, but I'm probably wrong. But talking about
Twain.
The greatest weapon of bigotry is travel.
Yep, you really get to see other cultures and stuff. I was in the Dominican Republic for a week once, and obviously, you have the resorts and everything like that. But when you actually travel outside the resort and like you go into like your transportation, you have to pass through like the actual streets and stuff. You really get to see what an actual third world country it is, and you're riding through the resorts. It's like, okay, yeah, it's real nice. It looks like you're almost still in America, but once you leave the resort and you actually start to see what it really looks like, it's people scraping by, and even a lot of the tour guides at the spots down there. They work for those tips to feed their family. Like most, I went on like an ATV tour there, and I just got to see. I'm not even here to brag about this, but I tipped the guy like $40 like at the end of the tour, and I couldn't believe some of the people on the tour like that did it too were very nice people. One couple was from the Carolinas and stuff, and nobody tipped the guy. I was like so shocked. Like the guy said nobody tipped him. Like he was like so thankful. He's like, this will feed my family for a week. at just $40. Like how far it'll go there. But it's like incredible. Like you don't really, but I absolutely agree with you. Like I don't know who the quote was, but the biggest weapon of bigotry is travel, because you really get to see what other cultures are like. It's there's so much more than just our backyard of where we live here in the United States.
There's more to the world.
So much more.
Yeah, the microcosm of your life is just that. It's micro. It's so small and insignificant on the world scale. Look, I love this country. I serve this country. I will fight and die for this country. I'm also very vocal and critical of this country, and it's because I want it to be. We have ideals. These American ideals that we're taught, and you have these people on one side that are so overly critical of this country because we don't live up to these ideals.
Yep.
But then you have on the other side these people who are so blind that they can't see that we don't live up to these ideals. When the reality is we're somewhere in the middle, and that's the whole point. We're supposed to be there because these are ideals. These are not things that we should properly be able to attain. There's things that we should always be striving and living up to. There's nothing. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect in life. Like George can attest to this. Like when I coach guys in like boxing and wrestling and whatnot, you'll hear this term, practice makes perfect, and that's bull. Practice don't make perfect, because if you practice it wrong, you're going to be wrong.
Perfection makes perfect.
But perfect practice brings you closer to perfection, is the reality of it. Like, nobody's perfect, but we always want to strive and work towards being perfect, even though we know we never will be. We're never going to attain it, but you always want to strive for it. We had these American ideals that were taught with from being children. Like, no, we're not going to live up to these ideals. We're not going to be a perfect place, but we need to work to become a perfect place, even though we will never be that perfect place. It's a constant work. It's constant. In this country, we always talk about our rights. We have this right. We have that right. We have the Bill of Rights and blah, 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 blah. But nobody wants to talk to the one thing that the founding fathers knew was intimately tied to rights, and that's responsibility. The more rights you have, the more freedom that you have, the more responsibility you have.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, what do they say? With great power from the Splinter movie comes great responsibility. Well, with rights comes responsibility.
Exactly. Because rights are that. They're power, I mean, I like to mess with extremists sometimes. And it's like, what are rights? Rights are nothing more than entitlements. They're synonyms.
Right.
They're synonymous. Because you always hear one side talking about, the entitlements. We have the, like, oh, you feel entitled. You're always feeling entitled. And it's like, so do you. You sit here and cry about your right to this and your right to that. Those are entitlements. You're entitled. Like, they're the same thing. But extremists, they get all butthurt about little things.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Here's George's pop Mecaj. Yeah. Absolutely. It's most people though. It's like that's why that's exactly why their title is extremist, because that's how they take things for sure.
Yeah, but so we have these responsibilities as Americans, as citizens of this country. You have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And you need more people talking more about that aspect of it, the responsibilities that go along with the rights.
Exactly,
You know?
because being born here, yeah, you're a citizen, but like, what have you really done to like earn being in this country? Just the fact that you were born and bred here. I mean,
Yeah.
what have you really done to earn it? You know?
Yeah, it's like it's one. I got this one guy one time told me, I was being critical of certain aspects of the country, and this guy, you don't like it, you're free to leave. Free to
Yeah,
leave. Well, number one, no, it's not. You're not free to leave. In order to move out of the country, you have to be able to guesstimate what you're going to pay in taxes over the next 10 years, and then pay that to the government before you're allowed to move to another country. No, it's not free to leave this country. Don't play that. If you want to play that semantic game, all right. You know, I guarantee you, my family been in this country longer than yours.
yeah,
Guaranteed. I have a minimum 6 registered patriots with the Daughters of the American Revolution. My family has been here since 1640 on one side, 1740 on the other side, and we have fought in every conflict this country has ever seen.
Country had right.
wow,
So you're going to tell me? You're going to tell me I can
No,
leave this country? Nah, man. Nah. Sorry. I love this place. I fought for this place. I served for this place. I'm willing to die and kill for this country. I'm allowed to be critical of it because I want to see it be the best that it can be. There's nothing wrong
absolutely,
with being critical. Nothing wrong with being critical.
no. It keeps you
Constructive
going.
criticism.
Critical keeps you sharp. Criticism is
Right.
good.
exactly.
Constructive criticism.
And
Yeah.
I like you said,
People
yeah,
get on Dan for
constructive
stuff like that, but
criticism.
then actually says people get on Dan for stuff like that, but you actually Dan just says it in a way people don't want to hear. Like, this country could help others to be prosperous, but we gotta definitely kind of like be like try to understand what that's at first, and then we do have to kind of help other countries because we're number one country in the world. But that don't
It's
mean that we gotta forget critical better to look, not let this country get destroyed. But people get lost in arguments, especially on Facebook, and no one can understand what's people like. You might have something in your mind that is really clear, but sometimes people don't see it on on a screen. But you tell them, and you tell them, you know what, you're actually right. It's logical. You gotta be logical.
Hmm.
But
but
Yeah.
criticism is good too.
You can't position this country to be in the position that we are today and not be involved with
mhm.
other countries. While at heart I agree with what Thomas Jefferson said back when they were drafting the Declaration and all that, where what did he say? Trade with every nation, war with none. I agree with that at heart. Okay, again, that's one of those ideals that we as a country need to strive for. We're never going to fully attain it, but we need to strive for that. Trade with all, war with none. Okay, but the realism is war is a necessity in this world. Okay, there are over what 7 billion. Uh, I don't even want to go into numbers. How many billions of people on this planet? Yeah, you can't have many people, this many countries. We have what, over 200 sovereign nations on this planet. We have cities that are 24 million people, one city type of thing. You can't have that without having a need for those people willing to do violence for the right reason.
Yep,
You just can't. You can't. People talk about
I
it
agree.
in this country. You look at like this country alone. You have the conservative base that one of their platforms is less government.
yeah,
They want less government, and I get that. I get you want less intrusion, but the sad reality is you cannot have communities of this size that we have in this country without the need for the size of the government that we have.
Yep. I was going
Doesn't
to say
exist.
too.
You
Yeah.
cannot do it.
Yep.
Things are going to go by the wayside.
Yeah,
The
it's a fact.
necessities in life, people are going to die because of because of it. And like I said, it's a sad reality. I hate bureaucracy. Like again, back to the original topic about all of this, talking about the VA. You talk about like horrible
Yeah.
bureaucracy, but the sad reality is the VA is a necessity in this country. We need
Yeah.
it.
If you don't protect this country, people are going to just attack. That's the thing. Like, being the United States, the country that, essentially everybody, a lot of people, a lot of other countries, are envious. So, they want to try to, if you don't protect this country or fight for this country, it's easy to just, somebody can come and just take, like, another country can come and just take this country over. People will die. It's like you said. So essentially, in a way, it's essential. It's like, yeah, obviously, it's a shame. Wish it didn't have to be that way,
Yeah,
but
on top.
you still have to, go to war and protect this country. Because if not, you say essentially in terms you get soft. The other country can just come in here and take over. You know what I mean? So it's just the unfortunate reality. There's always
Yeah,
somebody trying to take over somebody else.
yeah. I just now my criticism comes in not in the size of the government, just with how things are done.
Yeah.
You know, me personally, if it's in this, if you will die without it, you shouldn't have to pay for it.
Right.
I think that should be a nice little litmus test right
Right,
there. If
right.
somebody's going to die without it, they should not pay for it.
Hmm. It's essential at that point.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So healthcare, medicine. I don't see a need or a reason why people in this country should pay for it. We make enough in taxes that we can afford it
Yeah.
as a nation
Yeah.
without an issue and have
Healthcare.
money left over.
Yeah, healthcare in particular is one of the biggest scams in this country. It's crazy. It's just outrageous. The price of healthcare in this country is just, it's insane, and it's
Yeah,
essential. Without it, people aren't going to survive. It's essential. You'll die without it. So I agree with you there. It's just that's just really sad. The state of our country when it comes to healthcare. It's
hmm
bad. It's
All
bad.
kinds of other shit.
yeah.
So
I've been a
everything's too expensive.
proponent of of a basic guaranteed income for a number of years now. Working with a negative tax system, and where what is it? I think it comes. It's funny because talking about the founding fathers, Thomas Paine, mostly known for his firebrand writing, Common Sense, you know,
Yeah.
bringing the country together to back the revolution. He also, lesser known, he proposed that there something along the line of a basic guaranteed income. And when you look at what he proposed to be the BGI, when you account for inflation for today's numbers, it comes out to about $2,000 a month,
Right.
which is pretty much what a BGI should be. $2,000 a month will cover your basic groceries and other minor
Your
necessities for that
regular
month.
stuff in life. Your base, yeah,
Yeah, it takes that
basic
worry
necessities.
away from you now. You don't ever have to worry about that stuff. You know?
Absolutely. And
Yeah, it's
that's a good proponent. I was
yeah,
gonna say, yeah, yeah, and it's just that's actually a really, really good thought. It's just it's a shame. There's a lot of great things about this country, but obviously a lot of things that obviously we should, the country should
Negative
strive.
things too.
We should just strive to, to change and reform and be better.
yeah,
So there's definitely a lot of
yeah.
things. It's
Oh
it's flawed.
the federal marijuana being a Schedule One narcotic. It's the most ridiculous thing, and especially because we know the documented, we know the factual reason why it is a Schedule One narcotic today. Henry Ansinger and his racist views during the Depression.
Yeah.
Like, we know this for a fact. We know it's not a Schedule One narcotic for any legitimate reason.
Right.
Why? Why is it still such a fight to get it removed from that list? And I'm not even talking downgrading. It needs to be removed completely. You look at here
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, medical marijuana. Great that it was passed, and the program so far has been, it's not bad. I still hear people talk about, support your weed man and blah blah blah, and it's like, well, whatever, dude. But in all honesty, I pay at the dispensary the exact same price I was paying on the street,
Right.
and now I know where it's coming from, what's in it. I have the entire breakdown. I know how strong and potent it is, and I can shop for specifically what I want for what I need.
Yep. I was gonna.
And that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great thing, but it's still not a perfect system. There are still certain things that are illegal that need to be legalized. Home grow. We're not allowed to grow our own at home right now. That's
Right.
ridiculous. You should be
Absolutely.
allowed up to a certain amount of plants for personal use. Edibles.
Yep. One thing.
Edibles.
Yeah.
How are edibles not legal right now?
Yeah,
It's
right there.
insane.
It's
There are
crazy.
there are there are people that qualify for the medical marijuana card that's the only way that they can consume their medicine is to ingest it that way.
Yeah.
And let's be real, you want me now to tell you're telling me say I'm a cancer patient, I'm going through chemo, I'm weak, I'm tired, I have no appetite, my stomach's all in knots and blah blah blah. You know, now I got to work, I got to learn to become like some kind of chef just to be able to prepare my medicine. That's ridiculous. You can't put that onus on people.
Right.
You can't do that. These things they just need to be legalized. And why I'm so big on recreational along with the medicinal, like the shirt the T-shirt I'm wearing says it all. Okay, this is one of my shirts.
Okay, let's see.
All cannabis is medical, and everyone who uses cannabis uses it uses it as medicine, whether they know it or not.
Yeah. I was gonna.
And that really sums it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say it really is shocking that they still keep it like on a Schedule One narcotic. I will say I'm not even somebody who smokes marijuana regularly or even or takes it, but it is something that comes from the ground. It comes from nature. Whereas like you see like big pharma has no issue pushing medicine from the lab and all the things like that. But and there's no issue there. But it's like I don't understand what with marijuana, it comes from the ground, it comes from the earth. You know what I mean? It's grown, so
Yeah.
it's like and most things that are come from the earth and come from the ground are better for me than half of the other stuff. Look at alcohol. I mean, is grain and stuff too, but alcohol can be abused just as easily. You know what I mean? It's if not worse.
Yeah, it is. It's and no other single plant on this planet has
It's
as
natural. Don't
many
make a big deal
varied
out of something they shouldn't
uses.
be making a big deal out of. It's
Yep.
taboo.
Right. It's yes, it's medicine. Uh, but you look at the hemp and the paper. You can make paper. You can make clothing. You can make oils. You can make fuels, rubbers, plastics, concretes. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. They've done it where there have been nuclear reactors
Exactly.
where
Yep.
they planted fields of marijuana around the reactor. And not only did it clean up the radiation out of the soil, but it replenished the nutrients that soil needed in order to plant new crops. It not only heals us, it's medicine for the earth itself.
Exactly.
You can't get, you know, I'm not a religious, spiritual person, but when you look at religions, every major religion, it's there. Like, so, and it's marijuana. That's my big thing that I'm into. That I but I'm also a big proponent of uh, other like the others, a lot of the other psychoactives and psychotropics for therapy reasons. Psilocybin, mushrooms, mescaline, DMT, LSD, uh,
But ketamine at all, like the
ketamine,
yeah,
yeah, even PCP. You know, these things when used in the right way, in the right fashion, you know, with the right guidance, do wonders. Like, you know, you hear about people being cured in 1, 2, or 3 sessions in what normally took 10, 20, 30, 40 years, if that.
yep.
You know, there are
George,
people that are,
I
yeah,
was gonna say we had a guy Bill on here that did he did a ketamine trial where he did about 5 sessions, and it took him through different periods,
Bill
and
Plymouth.
yeah he did. It was a controlled environment, you know. He did it, but he literally went and it was able to kind of help him out, you know. It kind of rewires your mindset essentially. But he
it
was on
does.
here and talked about it. Yeah,
You know, when you talk, like we talk about addiction, something that I've struggled with my life over the years.
sure,
And, you know, people, you know, like I tell people, like, I was an addict. I'm not an addict now. I'm not. Like,
right.
100% true. 100%. And people are like, well, you know, what did you do? You know, and it's simple. It was a combination of LSD, marijuana, and meditation. That's what I did. I've been doing psychotropics, hallucinogenics for a long enough period. Yeah, I'm able, you know, I can do a self guide type of thing. Um, but yeah, yeah, like one of the best descriptors that I've heard of how you want to look at it is like think of your brain as a hill covered in snow,
Right.
and you got a sled, and you sled from point A to point B, and every time you sled, that rut that's created gets deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and more permanent and more permanent. Then you do you know, like an LSD or DMT or psilocybin, you know, you do one of these, you know, one of these sessions, and it's like a fresh coat of snow. It just blankets the whole thing, make it nice and smooth. A
Sure.
restart. You know, it's like hitting the factory restart button on your phone. You know, like that. That's how it basically works. You know, to break it down in the most
Yeah.
basic, mundane way. You know, without getting too in depth. Yeah, but that's basically what it is you know, we know what addiction is.
Yep.
We know what it is. You know, we know that it's a rewiring of the brain. You know, sending synapses you know from different points that don't normally connect. They're now being connected. The more you do it, the more that stronger that connection becomes. That rut keeps getting deeper and deeper in the snow. We know what addiction is.
Yep.
We also know that things like
Yeah.
the 12-step program don't actually work. They don't actually do. You know, it's more of like a band-aid, you know, that you're
Right.
putting on. You're not putting the Neosporin on. You're just putting the band-aid on. You know, I did the 12-step program. The 12-step program was great in the beginning. You reach a certain point, and you got to break out of that. You have to get out because all it's doing is just allowing addiction to continue in your life. You're just learning how to replace one addiction with another.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
coming out of lockup, there's two things that you know about NA meetings. There's two things that you already know going into NA meetings on the outside. Coffee, and you're going to get laid. Because you know, people are
Yeah.
replacing their drug addiction with another addiction: caffeine, sex, nicotine, whatever. It could be gambling, it could be
Consuming something for
sports.
the division.
Yeah, but it's
Could be
something that is less taboo in society's mind. You
Exactly.
know, and that's all they're doing is replacing one with another. And like I said in the beginning, it's good because it's getting you out of that drug. You're going away from that drug lifestyle, that drug community, making new friends, and that's a very big key key point. Is cutting off that old life, getting rid of those old friends, making all new, starting over. Scary as hell, but that needs to be done, and NA is a great place for that. But that's once you get to a point, you have to move on. You have to start
Absolutely.
thinking, how can I get rid of this out of my life completely? How they talk about addiction being a disease, stuff with this, but it's a disease that you can't cure.
Yep.
Yep.
That makes no sense. That is completely illogical. That's not how disease works.
Exactly.
Addiction is not a disease. It's a disorder. And if you treat it like a disease, you're treating it wrong, and you're not gonna. It's never gonna work. If you treat it like the disorder that it is, you know, then you can start the process of healing and being cured and
How to fix
being,
it. How to fix a problem.
yeah, exactly. So instead of putting the band-aid on a broken arm, set that cast, let the healing process happen. And people are like, oh well, you're stronger. You're a stronger person. You're stronger than me. That will never work for me. And you don't know until you try. You don't know. And I had one buddy I was talking to about this, and his sister overheard it, and she went off on me. How dare I tell a drug addict to take LSD? I was evil for that, and it's like you don't know, you don't understand, and yeah,
Yeah.
all I can do at that point is just be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're looking at it from
yeah,
a general standpoint. It's not really
and,
understanding. There's controlled environments for everything too. Like there, it doesn't.
mhm.
That's what you said. If it's used in the correct way, that's the key. That's the key to it because it can be
Doctor
abused
helps you out.
too. But if you use it in the correct way, that's the critical
Let's
point.
be real. Even cocaine is
A key
not
element is
completely
a key
bad
word. Way.
or completely banned in this country. I mean, it is completely banned in my mind, but it's not completely banned in this country. There are still legitimate medical uses for it. It's still used in hospitals across this country till today.
Right.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola still imports coca leaves for
yeah,
their soda. When you drink, oh well, they took the cocaine out, and the cocaine was never in it. It was a a
Right.
cocaine less derivative of the coca leaf.
yeah. And you notice Coke still doesn't reveal their formula to this day. So it's like, yeah, why? Well, because they don't want to get the backlash. You know what I mean? It's like,
So,
but
so
They're
in
it's
the
summary,
everybody.
largest. They're the
Yep,
largest importer of coca leaves in the world.
yep,
You want
exactly.
to know why cocaine is still a problem on the street? Thank Coca-Cola.
There you go. I was gonna say the normal dudes podcast comment down there. Hey, from what I said, what's up, dudes? From one podcast to another, what's up? Um, but yeah, and then so
yo,
and that's and Dan's kind of like
what's up, guys?
throughout
Yeah,
all
thanks
that.
for tuning in.
I love these episodes because they always go long because obviously we
Yeah.
always get into some great discussion. I was gonna say we always just kind of get into some great discussion, but I was gonna say and then Dan obviously I want you guys to obviously check out everything he's got going on too. Dan, where can everybody find like your stuff? I know you on Instagram. It's Daniel Kanagie.
Instagram is Dank Apparel 2022. DANK Apparel 2022.
All right,
That's
awesome.
yeah. See a lot of the stuff. Let me show you the new joint I got in.
Sure, sure.
Uh, these joints are hot, man.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not just the silly T-shirts.
Yeah.
That everybody thinks I do have those. Don't get me wrong. It's 420 somewhere and blah blah blah. I also have more serious T-shirts. PTSD kills, marijuana heals. I have more serious stuff, but it's not just
I
T-shirts.
actually need one of those.
I have I have sneakers. I have boots. I have dress shirts. I have Hawaiian shirts. I have hoodies, sweatshirts, sweatpants. Uh, I have home decor. So we have you know banners for hanging on the wall, um, linen for the bed. It's not just these this like t-shirts. Like I said, it's what I said earlier. What I said to Steve earlier is that normalizing. I'm trying to normalize it. Uh, like the ties, socks. So business attire.
Exactly.
As well is all of this. And some of it's bold and in your face. Some of it's not. I have polo shirts. I have like black, gray, uh, white, these polo shirts, and nice high quality polo shirts with a little leaf embroidered on the left sleeve, but it's the same color as the shirt.
Wow.
So it's not that bold in your face,
It's more.
that punch
Yeah.
or that weed leaf, but it's a bit more subtle. Dude,
Subtle.
when I
Yeah.
tell you 90 times out of 100, people ain't, nobody is even going to really notice it.
Yep.
People who do notice it, or they do notice it. Um, but so it's and not everything that we have is straight up marijuana related. Also, I have some shirts, some nice paisley print shirts and sneakers on there as well, stuff like that. Maybe we got kids clothes. We have we even have kids clothes, little onesies and t-shirts, and daddy's little bud, stuff like that.
Yeah, bro. Daddy,
Uh,
that's funny.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I
Just do. It's a nice one.
that's
Just do his.
super unique when like way you kind of put the name together too, because Dank obviously is associated with weed, but your name is also Dan K, so it's like Dan
yeah,
Kanagie, so Dank
and like I said,
Apparel.
it was
Thank you. It's the
embarrassingly
name of the company.
how long it took for me to realize that my name spelled Bank.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nah, it's super
yeah.
cool. Yeah, guys, so check that out. Dank Apparel. It's DANK Apparel 2022 on Instagram. You can check it out. He's got a lot of cool stuff on there, and I've seen on your regular page the boots too that you just had there. I saw them before, so that was really it's really cool to kind of see them right on the other end there.
Yeah, nice
A lot of
high
cool stuff.
quality canvas, hard toe, and and, and different styles of sneakers as well. It's a full fashion line. Um, so
We got the
right now,
Chuck Taylor type of sneakers with the really
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we got the Chuck Taylor type of
Converse.
sneakers,
yeah,
got
Chuck Taylor.
this skateboard style, like the Vans and style sneakers. Um,
The
yeah,
boots, the
man,
shoes. Yeah, we actually had the
yeah.
marijuana festival in Poconos. We had a sample of the sneakers, like one pair, and shoes,
Hmm.
but not the boots at that. That was back in April, but we went up.
Yeah,
We done well.
yeah,
Sure.
the slip-ons. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, Dank Apparel 2022 on Instagram. You got the link to the shop on there. So I'm going to be having Black Friday special coming up
Oh,
soon for the holiday and all that. Yeah, special deals. So with this the holiday season coming up, shipping times get a little bit longer. So make sure you get on there and you order stuff. Make sure that way
Yep.
you get it in time for the holidays. There's a lot of stuff, man. They make great presents. Um, yeah, there's some really cool stuff on there. And we got new stuff that's going to be popping up all the time. So one of the next things that we're going to be thinking about is looking to open up eventually a brick and mortar store.
That's awesome,
And
man. And
and
guys, if
hopefully, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and guys, if you shop there, obviously, you're also supporting a veteran-owned business. So definitely, give the support. Support a great cause. It's a veteran-owned business. Small businesses, veteran-owned businesses, all important. It's the backbone of this country. To be honest, small businesses. You
and
know,
and and, and portions of the proceeds go to Balanced Veterans Network.
awesome.
Again, that's an organization I
Ooh.
recommend everybody, whether you're a veteran or you have a friend or a family member who's a veteran, or you just have respect for veterans. Please go on, check them out, see what they do, see how you can help, donate some money if you can, donate your time, whatever you can do. They have a number of different programs. It's not just cannabis. That's just one small little sliver of the multitude of things that this organization does. I can't speak more highly about these guys. They're great. Um, Founded here in Philadelphia, they're now across the country. Yeah, Balance Veterans Network. Check them out.
You said that was you said balance veterans.
Yep, Balanced Veterans Network, BVN.
That's awesome. All right, yeah, guys. So check that out for sure too. And I also put Dan's. I put your business thing right here too, so people can check you out on Instagram. He has his whole business set up through there. A lot of cool stuff. And it's great. I like how it's linked towards something that's it's very close to home for you. You know what I mean? With marijuana and everything. And I love that you're honestly trying to normalize it and everything like that. Even as someone who's I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big marijuana smoker, but like I absolutely support the cause. You know what I mean? Like it's like I feel like there's just so much other stuff in this country. I don't understand why it's still Schedule One narcotic, but it's just I love
Right.
that you're trying to normalize it, and I think it's 2023. It should be something at this point that I think is normalized personally.
You know, yeah, So, one day, we'll be able to go down and go to our go to a bar, and instead of getting a drink, we'll be getting a dab or a joint or something like that.
Exactly.
And John,
That
something like a
that's
smoker
one of
called
my
a
goals
one
there.
hit
Is
quitter,
just,
a bowl,
yeah,
pack
I'm
bowl.
trying to,
Yeah, just
I
like in
want to open
Amsterdam.
up the first one in the area. That's my goal.
Man, that's an incredible goal. And guess what, guys? We can always circle back to this podcast if the let's not even say if, let's say when that happens, we'll be able to circle back to this episode and we'll be like, hey, he said it here, you
Yeah.
know, all that time ago. So
So here
I
first.
believe
So
it, man.
don't forget it.
Innovative, yeah, something different. It's not that hasn't been done before. So
For sure, for
innovative.
sure.
No,
And
yeah,
also,
one
guys,
of the first things.
don't forget.
Oh, what'd you say, George?
No, I was gonna say, don't forget. We probably still have Dan come back for an episode. Possibly have our friend here, Jewish Hot Sauce, or we're listening for another episode. That'll be dope to kind of have them combine and talk some shop online, on air and everything else. But for
Will's
this
a
one, we
great
just let
guy.
Dan, and obviously it's been a long
Yeah.
way since the last episode. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's good to kind of catch up. And go ahead. What were you saying, Dan?
No, I was going to say, it's one of the first things that you learn with starting a business. You should learn this if you haven't learned this and you're starting a business, you need to learn this. ABC. Always be creating.
Mm-hmm.
Always be creating. Always be thinking of something new. Always, always forward progress. Never back. Never stagnant. Always moving forward. Sometimes it's slow movement, but as long as you're moving forward, always being creative. Always thinking of something new. What can I do? What can I innovate? What can I change? What can I make better? What's something new? Whatever it is, the ABC. Always be creating.
That's a good one. That's really good. I was gonna say I've always heard what is it the saying? Always be closing. So it's nice to kind of see it like always be creative. I like that.
That's one of my favorite movies, man.
Always yeah. Always be closing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Glenn Ross,
Oh,
Yep.
Alec Baldwin. That's one of the best scenes in any movie, hands down. Love that one.
Yes, it is. Exactly. Man, this was a really fun episode. I didn't even expect it to go an hour and 40, but hey, good episodes. They go long. It's just more of a it's more
It
just
started a
natural
little
flowing.
shaky, but I think got good.
Yeah, yeah. The first 15 minutes,
Yeah,
but we've had a
It
solid
was
hour and a half of good content
it
here.
was hard,
So
but you know what? We pulled through. We did good.
exactly, and it's not how you start; it's how you finish. So we closed it strong.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
George, do you have? I guess before George and Dan, do you guys have
I
anything
like
else
that.
to add before we wrap up in the next couple minutes? I guess before we end here, this couple minutes.
Uh,
Anything, George?
would think like promoting the company like Rough and Tumble Productions, which is like a multimedia
Of
company
course,
that Danny started that we're kind of involved in. And remember I told
rough
you
and tumble.
Steve with the whole thing with finding one, even the Dank and Bloody Knuckles. Like Dan said, it's a forward motion. Everything all the different deals and business moves and sales that we're making, events, everything's kind of geared to go forward, and everything's kind of combined. There hasn't been some pancreas events, but then aren't his own sort of like league, and actually has some events coming up, including some like as well as some of the and he's an own brand and some of the pancreas type of fight. So we have that coming up. We have
Awesome.
there's plans, things in the air, so everything is kind of combined,
Oh yeah,
and
that's the thing. Yeah,
basically some of the money proceeds.
yeah.
George is went out for a second there.
They need it up on.
Okay. Yeah, we heard you at the beginning, and then your sound just kind of faded a little bit.
But yeah, to go off what he's saying. We got one of my other ventures, which is Rough and Tumble Multimedia. We're going to be starting up Rough and Tumble Pro Wrestling, which is going to be unique, different, something that most people have never seen and don't think of when they think of pro wrestling, and that's real, legit fights. Okay, it's going to be hardcore. It's going to be
Yeah,
badass. Um, this is actually the first public announcement of it. Uh, but yeah, we got that coming up, and we're real excited about that. Some great talent. And
Oh yeah.
George and Steve, hopefully, you guys involved in that as well. Um, and again, we're going to be honoring the veterans there as well. Everything is always going to be leading back to them. Everything that
Sure.
I do. Um, but yeah. So next time I come on, man, we'll talk about we'll have to talk about that because hopefully we'll be putting on that first event.
Sure. I was gonna say, I think we talked about that like a year and a half ago too. So I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear that things are moving along with that because I remember you bringing that up. It was a different style of pro wrestling, things that people hadn't seen
Yeah.
before. I remember you talking about that before. So that's cool. So hopefully next time you come on, yeah, we'll have that first event kind of set up and be able to kind of dive into that and talk about that
Hmm.
for sure.
Definitely, it'll be a great time.
Absolutely. So, guys, you can check out Rough and Tumble Promotions. As I said, Dan's Instagram, Dank, DANK Apparel 2022. So, this is Rough and Tumble Promotions, Dank Apparel 2022 on Instagram. Check out Dan's business. Like I said, you're supporting a small business, you're supporting a veteran owned business if you support. So, great stuff there. But, like Dan said, the holidays are coming up. Shipping gets a little crazy. So, if you want to get those orders in by the holidays, make sure you order a little early because shipping does get a little crazy around the holidays.
now
Yes, it
this is the
does.
time.
Yep, it's
Oh
just the
yeah.
way it is. Um, but yeah,
So
Dan, I just want to say it's a pleasure having you on here
all right,
again.
guys.
Obviously you've been here multiple times, but a pleasure
Likewise.
always having you on. These episodes are always great, and thank you for
Always
coming on,
great
man.
being on. Thanks for having me on. I love it, man. Just having the platform to be able to speak and get it out, man. It's. I mean, this is therapy in its own way.
It
You
really
know.
is, man. It really is.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, it really
I
is,
love
man.
it too
It really
because
is, man. It's
it's
fun.
I love it. It's a platform, and then a lot of times I meet people that George, like I met you through George, and George meets people through my network, which it's great. You know what I mean? It's a great way to network, but it's also a great way to having the platform to voice and just be able to talk about things, which is great.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
It's the biggest thing. Just have a platform to help out and to kind of spread the
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That being said, gentlemen, I guess
I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And
a lot of great stuff. I was going to say, with that being said, gentlemen,
we covered a good amount.
Yeah, we can close out here. I guess I know we'll have a guest next week for episode 150, which will be a big one. And then by the end of the year, we'll be officially when we get to 156 by near Christmas, it'll be officially the 3-year mark for here. So that would be big. But obviously, we always shout our previous guests out. So we didn't have a guest last week, but next week we'll shout you out, Dan, for coming on this week. But guys, follow Dan. He's a great guy. A lot of great stuff through his business. So definitely check him out. Again, thank you, Dan, for coming on. George, thank you for obviously us hosting tonight. But that being said, gentlemen, I just want to say have a great night, great weekend.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot. You guys too, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you guys.
It's a great time. You guys both, you guys both rock, man. Thank you.
Yep, no problem at all, Dan. Thank you so much, man. Have a great night, guys.
Good night.
Take care, fellas.